All right. So Magic the Gathering. I apologize about my shitty mic, by the way. So what is Magic Gathering? It is a card game. Um, and it's still a card game. It's still pushing out issues like once or twice a year. I'm still new to this whole thing myself, so there's a lot that I'm gonna get wrong probably. But essentially, it became a PC thing back in 2012, and then every year since then, it's had a new rendition of the game. Kind of how like Madden is, every year it's a new Madden with some changes. It's kind of the same concept. Each game has a different game style. Magic Duel is the free game I told you about. It isn't as expansive and user friendly. I mean, you can still play the game, but you won't get to kind of create your own decks, which you might think, man, that seems complicated, but it gets really fun when you can kind of build everything the way you want. But either way, the reason why that is because in real life, when you play tournaments, you're only allowed to play like the last four series of cards, and everything else is not legal to play unless you want to to get together in our garage and play. Then we could play whatever the fuck we wanted to. But to make it legal, and when you're doing tournaments or even gigs, when you go to your local card shop and play, you have to play with legal cards. Well, these games try to keep up with that. So if you're going to play the game Magic 2012, you're playing cards that you probably couldn't play right now. So that's why like Magic 2015 is kind of getting outdated. Magic Duels will be, but the new Magic the Gathering Arena game online, it's supposed to be the final game that's supposed to keep everything current, which I can't wait for. I've been playing the beta, and it's a lot better than these games. Anyway, so the way it's kind of set up, you basically have your currency in this game. At the beginning of each turn, you want land, and I'll kind of get more into the whole strategy, but right now this is what you need. And so basically, when you're picking your deck, I always like to have 24 land of whatever color. So each color is different, really. Like the green cards, anything that costs green mana, those cards stack up on each other and become giants. Red is more of an aggro deck, and there's a lot of attacking going on. Black is a sorcery type of thing. You can do a lot of damage to yourself, but it also benefits you because your health becomes a resource too. Blue is like the tricky sort of mystical. It's hard to explain. It's one of my favorite colors to play with. And then white's like the angelic kind of lots of life giving shit. Um, you can combine different decks. Like I like to play with the blue and black deck sometimes. In the new Magic the Gathering, that's the deck I like. But again, that will change based on what cards you like. But I would suggest if you play these computer games, you stick with one color. Right now, I'm playing with just only green because I don't have good enough cards because I haven't unlocked them yet. So I'm more efficient with the shittier cards playing with the one color deck, and I just happen to have more green cards. Um, so in a deck, right here, down here, you see 60. Well, that's usually what you want in your deck. I've seen people online come in with like 200 cards in their deck. And even though I've lost to a few of them, I doubt they win a lot because they're not efficient. Efficiency is the key here. So, what I like to do, especially if it's just a mono deck, if I'm aggroing and it doesn't cost me a lot of mana to deal out my cards, I'll go less land. Right now I have 24 of the green land, and I have 24 because I need a little bit more to build my creatures. And I'll show you an example game, of course. So we'll go back to my deck and I'll kind of give you the rundown. So whenever you look at a card, there's some different aspects to each card. Now the overall what you're gonna see on every card is on the upper right hand corner you're gonna see like whatever the mana is. This is a green card, it has a green tree, that means it's gonna cost one green mana to cast that. And if it's the beginning of my turn and I cast one green mana, I can now cast this card. I'll go into all that in a little bit, but I just wanted to show you that. In the middle right here, this kind of tells you what series the card is part of, which is, like I said, why if you're going to play, you want to make sure that the cards that you're playing with are the series that's part of the official website. of Magic the Gathering. This tells you what the card is, and um, it gives you sort of a descriptor, like it's a creature, but it's an elf scout. But you can have a creature like right here. I have a creature wolf. Underneath that, it'll be a descriptor of what else it can do. So right now, if you look at the bottom right hand corner of the cards, you'll see a 1/1 right here. You'll see on a wolf it's a 2/1. What that means is basically it has 1 attack power and 1 defense power. So if this card, let's say, were to go up against this wolf here, the wolf and they would both die because this attack power is 1 and the wolf's defense power is 1. And of course, the wolf's attack power is 2 and the scout's defense power is 2. So they'd both cancel each other out. And that's the basic math when it comes to creatures fighting each other. But what I look for in creatures is I look for creatures that can do things. Like when I put this card into battle, I can basically put a counter on this card that gives it an extra +1/+1. But you also have different types of cards. You have cards like an instant that isn't a creature card, but what it does is in this case, I can cast this card anytime I want to, even when it's not my turn. And so I basically can add 4/4 to like this 1/1, which would make this card a 5/5, but just for that one turn. You have sorcery cards that basically, like if I need more land, I need more mana, but I don't have any in my hand. Let's say I draw up a hand. When you draw your first hand, it's 7 cards, and you can choose if you want to draw a mulligan. You have to draw 7 more cards, but get rid of one. Kind of one of those deals. This would make it so if I had this in my hand, and I only had like 2 or 3 mana, but I know I needed more for some more cards, I would still keep it because I could just cast this out. And the game kind of is good at telling you when you can do certain things to teach you, so don't worry about that yet. But this would allow me to get, with 1 card, I can get 2 new land, which would like give me an advantage. You have enchantment, so you have all these different things that you can kind of play. This is a no color card, which means you can put this in any deck you want. And I like to cast this because if I have a creature that I know is good, but he could get blocked a lot, I can cast this card for 2 mana. And then once it's cast, if I still have a mana left over, then I can equip, because this goes off the side of the cards, which if I draw this card, you'll see it. And then it's really cool. It's just all these little things you can do. So basically what I do is I have 24 lands, so I have 24 of the green cards. And I only have 23 creatures because I can't find anything. I like to like double up my creatures, or in some cases make sure I have 4, because sometimes cards will piggyback off of each other. Certain cards, like if you keep adding them, they'll benefit each other. It's really neat. And I have 13 sort of everything that's non-creature, non-land. And what the mana curve means is if you have a good mana curve, it kind of looks like this. This means that, like, with this, where this 2 is, it means that the card, it casts 2 mana. So if I have a hand with only 3 mana and I cast it, I'll be able to cast out at least 12 of my cards if I got no more mana and I got those cards. So you want a good mana curve. If you have all your big numbers way the fuck down here, that means it's going to take you a long time to really get an advantage. So that's kind of like the crux of the game. I mean, there's a lot more to this, but that's just basically how cards work. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a basic game. And I'm just going to play against one of the single player things. I don't need to play. I haven't played anybody online with this yet. And again, this is 2015. 2013, 2014, 2012, they all kind of, whatever. They all kind of work the same. Magic Duels, that free one is a little bit different, but you can still play the game and you can still have fun with it. Where's my gun? So right now I'm at the end level of one of the storylines. So that means I'm probably going to lose to this guy, but it doesn't matter, because the great thing about this game, unless you lose 9 games in a row, is you always learn something new. Another reason I'm not playing against a person is that means I can take all the time in the world to explain shit. So, If you look down here, this is how it's laid out. On the bottom left, you can see I have no cards in my graveyard, right here. No, I have 7 cards that are right in my hand right here, and I'm not going to get to those yet. And then below that is 53, which means how many cards I have left in my deck. So this is a 60 card deck. In Magic Duels, it's only a 40 card deck. Now, when I see this, I feel like I don't have enough good cards to warrant this amount of mana. Because again, generally I want 3 to 4. Assuming that the other 3 cards are good, but none of these are really that good. I would have to tap this. So basically what this means is that, and you'll see what tapping is in a second, but when you turn this card to the side, that means you've used the card. If I do that, whatever creature I assign this to, it means target creature gets XX until the end of the turn, where the X is the number of elves on the battlefield. So if this was on my battlefield, that counts as 1, and if I had 4 more, that counts as a total of 5. If I have another card to my left that's like a 2/2, if I tap this, meaning I activate this, it means I won't be able to use this card, but it means all of a sudden I'll be able to put a 5/5 token on its already 2/2, which will make it a 7/7. Again, if I lost you, don't worry about it. Just know that nothing in here is worth it. Okay, so I'm going to draw a new hand, which means this goes to the bottom of my deck. Oh, the hand you just saw, and now I have a new hand. And I think in this game, the first mulligan, you get to keep all your cards. But for the most part, if you have to draw a mulligan, you have to get rid of a card. But see, sometimes I gamble. No, I'm going to draw a new hand because I don't want to lose this one on my first run through. I like this card because whenever it enters the battlefield, I have to draw a card, which is more of a card advantage for me. And I have 2 artifact creatures, which I was going to show you. So here we go. So they're drawing first, and the first thing they have to do is put out mana, and they're a blue deck. I think a blue and black, I'm not sure. So now it's my turn. If you look right down here, you'll see the different stages. You also have tips if you want to keep tips on. So I'm going to throw out my first mana, and I can't draw a card yet because I don't have enough mana to pay for any of that shit. And sometimes that happens. So their card is flying, which means if it's flying, if I don't have a creature that's flying, I can't defend against it. It has free reign to drop bombs on me. So I'm going to put another card out. So that's 2 mana. And I'm going to put this. So artifact equipment, they're weird. It's like a 2-step process. I can't just put this out. Even though I don't have a creature, I can still put this out. And because once it's out here, I can now equip whatever creature I put. So you'll see what I'm talking about. So they have a creature there. Probably going to put another one. And again, don't worry if you lose life. I mean, it's just a resource. All that matters is that, you know, you win. Like if you have 1 point, like I said this in the other video I tried making. I was down 1 point to like somebody's 30, and I ended up beating them still because I got the right card. Because sometimes you just run into the stalemate where you both just keep drawing the same amount of creature cards. But right now you can see they have an advantage. So watch this. I put my 3rd mana down, which means now I have enough to pay for a creature. Now I didn't show you anything they were doing up there to make it less confusing, but I'm going to go ahead and draw this card, but watch what happens when I draw him. First of all, my mana all tapped. That's what tapping means. It means turning the card on the side. The reason why I did that is because it cost me a total of 3 mana to draw. I had to spend the mana to get the card. Let me stop the timer real quick. And so when I spent that mana, I drew a creature. Now, if I had like 4 more mana, I could have put this card out too. But again, I don't have anything to spend. The other thing about this is when you put a creature out into the battlefield, it gets what's called summoning sickness. And you can tell visually on these games by this little swirling thing. And what summoning sickness means, and if you notice it's their turn now, it means I can't attack with this creature on my first turn. So when I put the creature out, and this is like a universal thing, it's not just specific to my deck. When you put a creature out, you can't attack. But now remember, so before it was my turn, I drew this card and I put the creature out. It has summoning sickness, and I can't attack only this turn. But now that it's their turn, if I wanted to, if he shot this 2/3 at me, I wouldn't defend it because he'd kill me and he'd still have the card. But it's more worth him actually taking my life down than me losing a card because I can build off this card. But that's besides the point. Um, Even with the summoning sickness, I could defend against him with it. So you can't attack on your first card whenever you first put a creature card. Once his turn's done and it's my turn again, then I can use this card. The only time this is different is in certain red decks where a card has haste, and you'll see it like when you zoom in on the card, you'll see up here like this creature has haste, or in this case right here, flying. You know, you'll see what the card says, and it'll tell you. Um, you don't see any. If another card comes up, I'll show you. Um, So anyway, I'm gonna that just explains tapping. So as I draw cards, I'll try to point out. Keep in mind what's happening to my deck and how it's all working, and you'll get it. Like I don't have if I had 1 mana to spend right now, I would be able to click right here and then send this card to here, and this card would fly, which means I could defend this guy. But I don't have anything to spend, so let's go continue. All right, so again, I'm not gonna block because I'll end up dying. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to beat this guy. So this guy flies. If you want to look at more info, it'll tell you. You can click on. So this card, what it's saying is when it goes onto the battlefield, you're gonna see these like little 3 red tokens show up on this card. Vanishing means once those 3 tokens have run out, the last counter is removed from it. You sacrifice it. The problem is, and it loses its tokens by attacking and stuff. Um, when you sacrifice your card, it's good because you sacrifice this card. It says right here, because remember, once your tokens get removed with the vanishing spell, you can sacrifice the card. Well, when this card dies, if it had no time counters on it, again, they can sacrifice it after the time counters are gone. You put 2 tokens that are copies of it. So basically, you sacrifice this card after a few turns and you get 2 copies of this. So now I know I gotta fucking get rid of that motherfucker. So I have to rely on a deck and I don't have a good hand. Maybe if I draw a card. So this one right here is basically when I enter the battlefield, I can draw a card, which means I can obviously pull a card, which would help me because it didn't help me at all. And I and I didn't put my artifact onto my whatchamacallit. So I'll lose badly to this game and then play another game and maybe win. Because I doubt they're already wearing me down. I'm gonna skip the attack. Actually, you know what? Let me get to another game where I'm actually gonna win. Because again, this is the campaign, and I'm trying to fucking get past these tough assholes. We'll go with this guy. He's got a lot of cool cards. Yeah, some of these cards are really fucking tricky. And just you think something would be counterintuitive, but if you happen to have this other card, it makes all the difference in the world. Okay, so yeah, these are all great cards because he's helped me. Once I put a creature in, which I don't have any, so I'm gonna have to gamble on the fact that I'm gonna get creatures. I can enchant that creature with this wolf, which will give that creature I enchant a +1/+1 um, for each wolf that I control. So once this card goes out in the battlefield, I enchant my dude and I give him a +1/+1 automatically because I control right here. This is a wolf card, but this card also spits out two green wolf creature tokens. Now I have two more wolves in the battlefield, which adds to this card, which adds to my creature. So I can have a 1/1 creature go up like to a 5/5 in like 3 seconds. So it's these little things that help me. This sorcery card, I can make one creature fight another one, and while I do that, it gives me a +1 counter. And then this one is just another, as much damage as I deal when this card's attached to a creature, I get to draw that many cards, which again gives me more card advantage, which means I get to, you know, just have more options, and that's what this game is about. Of course, some people don't use those type of spells, and they're fine with what they have because their card synergy is good, but sometimes you might have a good deck, but your synergy sucks, and you can't get cards out, so you sometimes have to have a few cards that help you draw cards, so you can hopefully just destroy. Alright, let's see. So none of my cards are okay. Now I have 3 mana out, and I can spend. See, I might want to spend this now because he's got nobody to hurt me with. So this might be the. But yep, it just told me. Because right here, I can search my library card. And they have counter spells too, so sometimes you might throw out a card and they'll counter it and you're fucked. So you got to keep that in mind. Sometimes you have to go back and fuck with your deck. So I'm going to choose 2 land cards, which automatically just added fucking 2 pieces of currency, which is really fucking amazing, especially considering a lot of these cards cost more. Alright, okay, so this is what's cool. I'm going to put this human out. This human's great because when this guy enters the battlefield, you can put a +1/+1 on the counter on the target creature. Meaning, if I put this out, even though it's telling me to do that, but I'm not going to, I can put the counter on myself. Or if this card was drawn and I drew that card next, then I could. I probably should have done that because this one has a better defense, but whatever. And this deck is sort of built around adding counters to players, so weak players end up getting more fucking shit to fuck up their opponents with. So this guy, when it says defender, it means it can never attack you, even if it has like shit on it. And I think there's a stipulation though. Yeah, some cards, it's like they can't attack unless this. But sometimes it'll just say defender, and it'll never be able to attack. But it's just a wall, and it's gonna make it tough to penetrate that wall. But yeah, I know a lot about, well, not a lot about deck building, but if you ever get to the point where you're building your own deck, ask me questions. All right, so in the spirit of, okay, so here's the deal. I already have a card with 2/2, and I have a card with 0/2. Now the way fighting in Magic works is if I were to attack with this card to take 2 points off this motherfucker, if this guy comes down, yes, my card will destroy his, but even if I had 11 points instead of this 2, even if I had fucking 11 points here, if my card would kill him, but the points would not transfer over to this guy. So sometimes you have to sacrifice a card because I might have put all these counters, which is what these little dots are, and the extra points are here. I might have wasted a bunch of counters on this one card because I had the mana to spend on it. Like, oh, put a +4/+4, now put a +6, and I would have been like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna win this game. I use this one card, and he'll pull this motherfucker out and block me, and I'll kill him, but the points don't transfer over, and he's still with the same amount of points. I just wasted all that. What this card is, anytime you see a card that says trample on it, what that means is if I had like 11 points in this card and I kill him, I would have spent 2 points on him, but because of the trample, the rest of those points still carry over. So watch. So until the end of the turn, the target creature gets 3+3/+3 and gains trample. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards. So when I draw this guy and I target this card, now be careful because some blue decks they have an automatic counter spell. So you might think you're actually benefiting because it's your spell. You cast a spell and you get fucked. So, all right. So what I want to do now, since I'm not going to attack with this card, this symbol here means tapping, and we both know now that tapping means turning the card over. When the card turns over, the card can't be used till the next turn. But since this card ain't gonna do shit anyway, if I tap this, the target creature gets +X/+X until the end of turn, where X is the number of elves on the battlefield. Now I only have one elf on the battlefield, which means I'm probably gonna turn this 5/5 now to a 6/6. There we go. Now because I have trample and I have all that other shit, even though this 2 points is going to be wasted on this defender if they choose to use it, 4 points is still going to knock off because of that trample. Or was that, so no, 6 points, I'm sorry. That I don't know why I read it as 4, but now because I was able to deal 6 points of damage, that card said you draw as many cards as damage that you deal. So I have I have 9 cards in my hand now, so I have to get rid of a few. I want to get rid of that one. 9, 8. I just need to get one more. I guess I'll get rid of that one. Alright. So now it's their turn. Now I'm not comfortable yet because some of these decks will pull shit out of fucking who knows where. Oh, by the way, I can still continue to tap this card to provide whatchamacallit to this, and it doesn't cost any mana. But I'm going to show you, I don't want to use 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, so I can spend that and that. Glorious. So I'm going to put my artifact creature out here and just have that ready because I don't want to give it flying just yet. But I am going to, okay, so this is my Raised by Wolves. It's the enchant creature, and there was that wolf card I told you about. So I'm going to enchant my dude. And now it's going to spit out 2 tokens, creature wolf tokens. So now I'm at a +4/4 because enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each wolf you control. So now you can understand where, like, you know, this game could get really technical, and sometimes you have to just outsmart people. And considering none of these people are going to kill me because they don't have enough attack points to hurt me, I'm going to attack and either get rid of some of their points or kill some of their cards. We'll see. I don't know why I didn't think about them doing that, but now I know. So now he just, sometimes they'll have an enchant creature, and of course some of these enchantments are great. I think they have a gate. Yeah, if they have gates, it gives them special abilities, and I can't. Let me think here. No, I don't want to. I'm going to skip blocking. I'm going to let them take some life away from me because I don't want to kill 2 cards for their 1. Alright, so I'm going to draw. Again, every turn I'm throwing out mana. Because the more I have here, the more I can spend here. So what's cool about this card is I can use this card to make this card attack any one of these cards that I want to. Let's see what this says again. It's not hexproof. So basically, not only that, it puts a +1 counter on my card. So if and I have 2 of these, so I could actually do this to, yeah, watch this. So I'm going to start with that card, and I'm going to have them attack that card. And by doing that, it doesn't tap. My card's still good. um, Actually, I have an idea. So I'm going to use this card to give this card some shit, and then I'm going to use this card. Because see, I don't want this 2 to kill me. So now I'm going to give it a 7/3, and now I can get both cards off the table. And I still have this card. No one's going to defend themselves against him. And now I can attack with everybody. Not have to worry about my guy dying, unless he's got a card that he can cast that will wipe out these cards, and he might. But this will bring him down to 3. Yeah. And since he doesn't have anybody to attack with, I don't have to worry about my creatures. Because again, when they're tapped, they can't block or anything. And most of these games have really good tutorials. What the fuck just happened? So this card gave him the ability to take my card and use it against me for 1 turn. Oh, that is good. All right. I hope you just saw that. All right. Now I'm gonna beat him, so I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. I'm gonna take this guy and put it on this guy. Before I did it to myself, but now that I have all these cards, I want to keep stacking up one of these cards. And now, oh, a 9/9. Oh yeah, 'cause I have another elf, and I guess I'll just put this guy out there. And again, I'll just attack with all. Sometimes if you're having trouble getting past certain points of the game, at least in one of the games you could do this, I would just keep playing the same opponent over and over again if I knew they're easy, because doing so would let me unlock cards. But let's see if this game does it. Nope, does not do that. But yeah, that's really it. I mean, there's so much to this game, but like once you get the basic concepts down, it all makes sense. But that's the other thing too. Is it help options? Yeah, it has tutorials like how to play, how to build a deck. You know, you can click on here and it kind of just runs you through a tutorial. Like all the games have this, and of course there's shit online, and I could help you build a deck that I think might be working for me. But the best way to do it is just run through the single player game. This game will have you try to build a deck. Find a color you think you like once you get to that point. Choose a few cards. Let's say it's blue. Choose a bunch of blue cards, and once you on the bottom right, you'll see. Let me just show you here. The game makes you make a deck. What you can do, yeah, just custom deck, I guess. Is you see down here it says autocomplete. So if you want to do a white deck, you just throw a bunch of spells in here and just hit autocomplete, and it'll be based on the cards you've already added. So what I would do if I were you, if you're building your first deck, after it makes you do all that shit, just go in here and find a few cards you like. Say you like this. Let's say you like this creature card. You want to put 2 of those down, and then just autocomplete. Once you do that, the game will kind of just guesstimate for you. Then you can kind of go through here and you look down at the bottom. You have 28 creature cards, 8 non-creature cards, 24 land. The mana curve looks decent. You want a lot around 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3 being the highest. But once you go through it, actually this one shows a little bit of red. So they gave you some red cards too, probably because there wasn't enough white cards for me to play with, so they probably automatically. But here it tells me the land. So yeah, just play around with it, and then you can kind of go. you'll play a few games and you'll realize this card doesn't do shit for me. This card, so you come in here and let's say it's this card, you just put it back for some more cards of the same type because you want to keep everything consistent and find maybe the human soldier's better and maybe this cat creature's better. Now you're back to where you were 60 cards. So that's about it. Obviously, you'll have questions, but yeah, check it out. Let me know.